So we've completed depositions. What happens next?
So this is a really big stage of the litigation, because if there is any opportunity to settle, it's generally going to happen now. Many people have heard the stat that 99% of cases get settled before you even walk into trial. If you're in litigation, 99.9% of cases are going to settle if they haven't already. The reason this is a big stage is because we're about to start spending more time and money. And what I mean by that is, if we are not going to settle, we have to do a doctor's deposition. The burden is on us as the plaintiff to show that your injuries were causally connected to whatever the accident was. So we have to, unfortunately, the burden is on us to lay the foundation. That's just fancy for showing that there's a link between the accident and your injuries. Not only that, a doctor lays the foundation for your medical bills. Basically, the treatment that you got was fair and reasonably priced in the medical bills. And the defense is going to start spending money as well, because they have to spend money for the transcripts, for the depositions, but also they might have to send you out to their doctor. So now they have to pay a consultation fee to some doctor who they will then have to depose, because typically they will not appear in trial. Similarly, we do depositions because the doctor that we're trying to retain typically cannot show up to trial. There are some pros and cons of moving forward with the doctor's deposition. One of the obvious pros is it shows the defense and the insurance company that we are ready to move forward and try this case. Even if we're not, it's a great bluff technique, because it shows that we're willing to spend the time and money to go on to the next stage. And if they're not prepared, or if they don't want to go to trial, then they will offer you more money. One of the downsides, though, is a lot of doctors don't always cooperate. So whether it's your primary care physician, an orthopedic, a neurologist, not only do they charge a lot of money to be there, they don't want to be there because they get beat up on by the defense attorney. Because similarly, if the defense or the insurance company hires a doctor, I'm going to beat up on them. I'm going to talk about all the prior times they've testified, how they had inconsistent testimony, how they don't know about anything they're talking about, how they're just a hired gun, okay? The doctor that helps us out, or theoretically helps us out, typically doesn't want to get involved because they make more money doing their own practice, and they're the king in their practice. When they have to step into a conference room with a bunch of attorneys, they feel out of place. They don't want to be there. So at this point, if we haven't settled the case before we do the doctor's deposition, we're going to after the deposition, because now we're really getting serious about what happens next.
Is this a stage where we get a trial date?
So if we haven't already got a trial date, which I typically try to get a trial date as quickly as possible, because a lot of judges and a lot of attorneys have conflicts at least a year out. And so if we do this back in the written discovery stage, it gives us a couple more months to get through the rest of the written discovery, to do the depositions, and then we have the trial date set. So if we haven't already received the trial date, we need to do that immediately, because a lot of times the judge is setting trials out at least at least a year out. So that is the best practice, to get it early in the case so that we can stagger it and make it such that when we're actually ready to go to trial, we've completed all the steps leading up to the trial.